Today's show is action-packed, so buckle up and let's dive into it. Screw your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. You are a necessary component. You are not a human resource. You and I, right? We're the people. This is our country. It's our Constitution. It's our safeguard against government corruption, overreach, and tyranny. The Constitution. That's what this is about. The Second Amendment is part of the Constitution, the place where specifically, explicitly, it was stated the people's right to defend themselves shall not be infringed. But here we are, folks, the Second Amendment under attack by none other than the biggest dunderhead in the country, right? Now, Tucker Carlson says this guy's unfit for leadership. Hard to disagree with that. Hard to disagree with that. So there was a tragedy. A young, messed up mind, at a school. I wonder why schools are places where young, messed up minds act out. Could it be that those young, messed up minds are acting out in the very place where their minds were messed up? This is a horrible tragedy. Children, adults killed by a mass murdering psychopath, right? I don't like to talk about the tools that were used because that is not the problem. Why are kids doing this? That is the problem. Why? Now, Joe Biden says, this is a quote, "Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on, for God's sake." Most Americans support common sense gun laws. These kind of mass shootings rarely happen anywhere else in the world. These kinds of mass shootings rarely happen. Where in God's name is our backbone? It's time to turn the pain into action. It's time to act. It's time to let people who block common sense gun laws, we won't forget. We don't forget, folks. Common sense gun laws. I'll give you a common sense gun law. Well, the Second Amendment, that is common sense. People have a right to defend themselves. They have a right to defend themselves against thieves, criminals, murderers, including those at school, and government, the biggest mass murderer of them all. Let's do this, right? Let's do some common sense. I guess Joe has forgotten he caused the massacre of 13 Marines and soldiers last year in Afghanistan. Plus, he gave terrorists $80 billion in guns and ammo, etc. How many children were killed with those guns and ammo, and women? How many became innocent victims of extremism that Joe armed with guns and ammunition and tanks and helicopters and drones? Well, how about Ukraine, Joe? $50 billion in weapons and support? How many additional atrocities, mass murders, were committed by Biden guns that were sent to Ukraine in the hands or to the hands of the self-admitted Nazi Azov battalion? How many of those murders have happened? Joe, common sense? Who is Joe to use that term? Politicians use tired, worn, and hypocritical talking points constantly. They need to be tried in the court of political opinion. I'm talking about politicians like Joe Biden. They need to be tried in the court of public opinion. Oh, wait, yes, Joe is. And the court of public opinion called a poll shows he is guilty of sucking the worst ever. Folks, this is absolutely incredible. The exploitation of the death of children and other people This person who did this is a sick, demented person. The film or photographs I saw of this young murderer appears to be someone who, doesn't look very healthy. Why aren't we treating the problem of mental health in school instead of encouraging it? And they are encouraging it. Teachers are encouraging children to hate themselves, to hate their race, to hate other races, to hate their parents. They're intentionally telling them it's okay to be confused, or rather, are they confused about their own gender? Or are they being told to hate their own gender and therefore they should look at being something else? See, that's what is just awful in all of this, is everyone's ignoring the pink elephant in the room of mental health with kids these days. Let's make it even better. Let's have State Farm join up with a pro-grooming organization that wants children to be sexualized, and then send out books to kids explaining why it's such a good choice to make. And they should know all about these things instead of playing with Play-Doh and seashells and paste and learning their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s in kindergarten, learning how to socially interact instead of pointing out the differences between them and calling them bad, that being a girl is bad and a boy is bad and being a color one or the other is bad. The problem is what the schools are doing to the minds of these children. It's not guns. Guns are a tool. Guns are just a tool. This is horrible, what is going on. It is, folks. It looks to be another, shall we say, deranged person who may or may not have had additional influence in his life in order to do this. And Joe Biden wants to play this politically. It is disgusting. Folks, before the blood is even dried, politicians are taking advantage of this. The response shouldn't be anything about common sense gun laws. We have plenty of gun laws. We have a lot of laws that Joe Biden's administration isn't enforcing, like border protection, like making sure we have enough energy to transport ourselves and our food and to make food and to keep the lights on. Right? We're having problems with all of those things, but we need common sense gun laws because, some people died. Now, if you just want to look at raw numbers, how many people committed suicide because of the lockdowns, which have been, demonstrated by many experts, even though I'm no expert, but many experts said that locking people down caused a lot of mental illness, caused a lot of suicides. Why don't we have common sense in the government with regard to anything and everything that they prescribe and say, we must do this and we must do that, because they know. Oh, I think it was the experts who said, well, they didn't really factor in the long-term consequences of their lockdown. There's so many things government does wrong, but we're going to trust them on this one. Kind of like Joe Biden has screwed everything else up, but we're going to trust him on food. We're going to trust him on energy. We're going to trust him on Ukraine. We're going to trust him on anything. This is the problem, folks, when it comes to the mainstream media censoring what you and I can discuss, and the mainstream media working in unified fashion and giving us only one political option, theirs. Joe Biden should not be in office at any level, certainly not the president of the United States of America, where he is a hapless puppet in the hands of a bunch of cronies who want him to destroy this nation. And he's doing a fine job there, obeying. Well, they want us to obey them, folks. The answer is no. We have common sense. We see that the Second Amendment is the target, and this has nothing to do with the real problem with children or the rest of this nation. Get prepared. This is going to get worse. thepreparedmind.club, thank you. Those on Patreon, thank you. Supporting this channel, our efforts to get an alternative opinion, satirical as it may be, out there, thank you. I'll see you all, because the next video is also going to knock your socks off. Oh, Semper Fi, Godspeed.